Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching anywhere in the world. Welcome to MenLEAD Conference 2020 in Cameroon. I want to bless the Lord for this wonderful conference. I want to specially say thank you to Dr. Ngafesin Madison and the wife Claudia, and to our wonderful, wonderful programs coordinator, Mr. Harmony Ngafesin. Thank you so much for putting up this great program and all the team working in collaboration to make sure this conference is a success. Once more, Dr. Ngafesin, thank you. It is an honor and privilege to be on your platform. And I want to thank all the men and women of God who have spoken before me and those who will be speaking after me. It is wonderful. We live in a very, very exciting moment. And it is good to know that we can come together as men and encourage one another and speak words that can edify one another. I have been commissioned this evening, it's evening here, and it could be morning wherever you are, it could be afternoon, to speak on a very important topic which is titled, The Man and His Work. The Man and His Work. And when I received that particular title, two things came to mind. Number one, the man, and number two, his work. So those are the two concepts we will be looking at this particular session. What does it mean, the man, and what does it mean, the work? Those two definitions or words may seem a little bit very casual because they are words we use daily, but I want us to define those words in the context of this conference. And by so, what I mean is, we are going to look at those two words, the man and his work, in the context of that which we believe is happening all over the world today. I want to start by saying this. Men are in short supply. Let me put that in another word. Man or men are the most endangered species on the earth. What do I mean? I didn't say males because being a male is a biological function. Biology produces males. Society produces boys. But what produces men is the question you and I have to answer today. Let me take that over again. Biology produces males. Society produces boys. But what produces men? With that in mind, I would like to take us to the book of the beginnings, great ancient writing. And it says there that the Lord God took the man and placed the man in a beautiful garden he had created and commissioned the man to work or to cultivate the garden and to keep it. And that word cultivate also means to work. So, you now find the concept of work. So, a man is defined by the concept of work. What do I mean by that? It's very simple. Let me put it this way. We all, wherever we are, we have a profession. We have a job. You can be in an office. You can be a businessman. Whatever you do, that's fine. But listen to me very clearly. When you have a job, you make a living with your job, but you make a life with your work. Let me put it in another way. A job is what you do to make a living. Your work is what you do to make a life. It is very unfortunate that a lot of men in particular, because that's the focus of this particular conference, a lot of men spend all their lives making a living and not making a life. And I'll try to differentiate what that is, because at the end of the day, your purpose, your talents, your potentials were all put there in you to help you to make a life. It is in making a life that you find your satisfaction. You can make a living and still be very frustrated. That is why you have millionaires who are frustrated. You have businessmen frustrated. You have successful men who are frustrated. Why? Because making a living doesn't necessarily make you happy. but making a life makes you happy. Because you make a life from your work, but you make a living from your job. So let me put it this way. I know we live in a society that defines success by maybe professional progress or material possessions. I understand that. But the true definition of success is not a material concept. The true definition of success is what? It is what you do in making a life determines your success in life more than what you do in making a living. And because we are looking at the man and his work, I don't want us to look at work in the context of a job, which is fine because, of course, we all have jobs. So what I'm just trying to say is this. For example, Dr. Ngafeson his job is an associate professor. That's his job, but that's not his work. Conferences like this are his work because that's the purpose, the essence of his life. That's the potential, the talents, the God-given ability to do what he's doing. That's his work. So the conference you and I are attending right now is the product of Dr. Ngafeson's work. However, if it comes to his job, he's a lecturer in the university. Those are two separate things. And I don't need to ask him, but I know he derives more fulfillment in his work, which is his purpose, his potential. A wonderful man of God, Apostle Pierre Nyangok, has spoken on purpose and on discovering purpose, working for purpose and establishing purpose. Wonderful, great man of God. So he's made my job easy. And that's why I can spring from the board that Apostle Nyangok has already laid, and we continue from there. Let me say something that is very, very true. The ancient writer in the book of John mentioned something. It said, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. For the night cometh when no man shall work. Again, you see the concept of work. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. For the night cometh when no man shall work. Again, you see the word work. In other words, the question is, what is my work? You need to know and discover it and live it and fulfill it and even know how to make it happen. There is a time, or not just a time, it is possible that your job can intersect with your work. That's fine. But at least for now, we are trusting that you and I, being men, will actually discover that there is a work we have to do for society. There is a work we have to do for our community. There is a work we have to do for mankind, so that we don't get absorbed in our job and forget there is a work for the community, and forget there is a work for society, and forget that there is a work to be done for people who may not have the same privileges or opportunities like we have. It is always an honor to do work. The value of man is determined by the work he does. And I'm going to come to explain to you what you should do with that particular work. And so I want to say this. It says, the night is coming when no man shall work. And then in the 5th verse of that particular wonderful quotation I gave, it said, I am the light of the world. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. So, this is what it is saying. It is saying, I have work to do, and that work is the light of the world. So, this is what I tell people. Every human being is created with work to do. And that work is going to be light. In other words, there is an aspect of darkness in the world that you have the light to solve that particular problem or that particular darkness. So, it doesn't matter who you are. There is a solution you carry for a problem that exists upon the earth. I don't know what the problem is, but one thing I know, you as a man, you have the solution. And in the execution of that solution, that is what you call your work. Your work is the area of human living or existence, or it is the area of human life in which your life is a solution to the problems in that specific or particular domain. And so when you look at that, because your life is the light, it therefore means that if you do not shine your light, in other words, if you do not work in the area that produces the light that will shine in the darkness of human problems, or in the darkness of human frailty, or in the darkness of human chaos, things will suffer because your light is not coming forth. It doesn't matter your creed, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter. Because light in Japan is light in America, light in Africa is the same light in Asia, the light in Brazil is the same light in South Africa. Light doesn't change because of geographic location. Likewise, human problems don't change because of geographic location. Sickness in Japan is the same sickness in South Africa. It will be the same sickness in Douala, same sickness in Lagos, the same thing. Because geographic location does not affect light. That's why the sun rises and sets, the moon rises and sets, and all of that takes place within the same geographic region, but it is all the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, and men in particular, it is my honor and privilege to let you know there is work you have to do as a man. If we fold our arms and spend all our time trying to make a living, trying to get more houses, more cars, grow in a professional ladder, that's fine. But in the desire and in that quest for professional progress, we must always remember there is work to do. And if we do not perfect that work structure around our lives, a lot of things will go wrong. Now, let me break this down very, very in detail. How do you execute your work? Okay, now I understand for some of you, you don't yet know what your work is, so you are in a job. Okay, fine. Or you are in a profession. Okay, fine. Like I said, your job is what a human being employed you to do. Your purpose, your work is what your purpose employed you to do. Let me put it this way. Every human being was created for a purpose. That purpose, once you start doing it, it creates for itself work. The greatest man who ever lived, Jesus, professionally was a preacher, but by purpose, he was the savior. Those are two different things. And he said, I came to do the work. Same thing in every domain. Some of you listening to me, you know your job is not your purpose. Because as much as you do what you do as a job to make a living, you know, and most of you know what I'm talking about, your passion in life is in another area. Your desire, where you find fulfillment, the thing that you really want to do, the thing that synchronizes with all the other aspects of your being will be something else. And so, but for the sake of explaining a couple of things, I want to narrow in on two concepts. We saw that before in the book of the beginnings, and that says the man was commissioned to cultivate the garden, which was his work, and to keep it. Two very wonderful concepts: to cultivate and to keep. So I want us to look at how do you execute your work. Now, number one, you cultivate it. Like I said before, let me withdraw a little bit, step backwards, and talk a little bit. Let's say your job or your profession. For now, how do you cultivate it as a man, and how do you keep it as a man? But remember, we are looking more at the context of work. Work, work, work. And this is what I need to say very clearly. And I pray that you will understand and capture that which I'm trying to convey, because it is very important that you understand clearly what I am trying to tell us this particular afternoon or this evening or wherever you are, depending on the time zone in which you are. If you have a garden and you want to cultivate a particular plant, it is very simple. It really may not be determined by the quality of the seed. The seed you sow or the seed you plant can be wonderful, but that in itself will not guarantee a healthy harvest. So what do? You make sure that the soil has the right nutrients for that particular seed. So if you want to grow tomatoes, the nutrients you need for tomatoes will not be the same nutrients you need for, say, lettuce. If you want to grow apples, apples don't necessarily use the same nutrients like, say, oranges. And so the first thing I want every man to know, when you discover, let's say, your work, or let me come back even to the job thing. Let's even assume it's in your job or in your professional career, okay? What are those nutrients, professionally speaking, that you need to grow professionally to the level that you want to get to? Because if you do not understand that, you may end up circling in the same professional spot and making no progress. And you may circle and circle and circle 5, 10 years, 15 years, you're circling because you have not understood that you need to cultivate your profession. You need to cultivate your job, or you need to cultivate your work. So what are those professional nutrients you need to cultivate your job or to cultivate your profession? Because if you discover those nutrients, you could have graduated from the same school with the other people. You could have had the same exams and you went through wrote the same certification. But if you understand what I call professional nutrients, then you would know a particular course, a particular continuing development program you can enroll in, a particular 2-3 week course you can study and add onto your CV and boost your professional chances in every domain. Nowadays, there is every avenue for everyone to cultivate himself. Career planning, career development. You must have specific goals that you seek to achieve in your quest for progress to the level that you desire you will operate under. And number 2, not just cultivate it, because you cultivate by getting the right nutrients. You also cultivate by connecting to the right people in that profession who can take you to the next level. Let me say this. It is human beings that promote other human beings. And so if you need to make progress professionally, it will take another human being to hold your hand and take you to the next level. So you need to discover, you need to find yourself in environments that have the type of people who can hold your hand and take you to the next level. These are all solid, proven principles that when you apply them, number 1, the right professional nutrients. If you feed your profession on those right nutrients. Number 2, connection to the right people in your profession. That will shorten your journey to the top. That will shorten your struggles. Not that you will not struggle, but it will make it shorter because you have people who can hold your hand and take you to the next level. Now, number 2, and all of this, like I said, self-development and all of that. Number 2, it says, the man, again, I said the man, has to cultivate and to keep. It is not enough to cultivate your potential, cultivate your talent, or cultivate your job or your work. It is also very important that you keep it. If you don't keep it, you can lose it. It's a little bit like money. You know how to make money? Wonderful. But if you don't know how to keep it, you will keep making and losing. And a lot of people know how to get stuff, but they don't know how to keep stuff. They know how to get a blessing. They don't know how to keep a blessing. They know how to get friends, but they don't know how to keep friends. So they have no problem getting, but they have a huge problem keeping. And so to every man listening to me everywhere in the world, I want to tell you how to keep what you've got. It could be a job. It could be a professional career. It could be your work. One, or let me not say one, the first key principle is this. Whatever you do, whichever company you work for, whichever job you find yourself in, whichever work you do, you must always try to do this. Law number one, make sure you are irreplaceable. Now, you are not indispensable. No, you are. You can be indispensable, right? But make sure you are irreplaceable. How do you become irreplaceable? And I want to say this in particular because we now live in a world where people lose their jobs just like that quick. People lose a lot of stuff. Companies are downsizing. People are redundancy. All kind of stuffs. There's a lot of stuffs going on, especially in this particular COVID-19 season. A lot of people are out of work. Companies are declaring bankruptcy. Life is getting tough. But what do you do to secure yourself? It is by being irreplaceable. You will not be replaceable because you have a degree, because all those employed with you have degrees. You will not be irreplaceable just because of your job description. All the people have, hopefully, similar job descriptions. What makes a man irreplaceable? It could be in any domain. What makes a man irreplaceable? It's very simple. And it will surprise you what the answer is. And let me say this clearly, wisdom. Wisdom makes you irreplaceable. Now, let me close this session with this. And pay close attention to me now. There are three major concepts upon which most things in life are anchored. Number one, knowledge. Number two, understanding. And number three, wisdom. Number one, knowledge. Number two, understanding. And number three, wisdom. If you will execute your work, if you will execute, let's even say your job or your profession, if you want to be irreplaceable, then you must understand the concept of wisdom in the professional domain. Because, let me say this, knowledge answers the question, what? If you know what to do, that's what you learned in school. School gives us knowledge. You know what to do, beautiful, wonderful. That will give you a job. However, you may know what something is, but you don't know why that thing is. Because understanding answers the question, why? And I want to let you know, the man who knows why will always be the boss of the man who knows what. So if you want to distinguish yourself from your classmates or those who studied with you, you need to have understanding. Understanding will set you apart. It will place you on top of those who have knowledge. But then, that is not the most powerful part of it. The highest level is wisdom. Because wisdom answers the question, how? The man who knows how will always be the boss of the man who knows why. And the man who knows why will always be the boss of the man who knows what. Knowledge, understanding, wisdom. MenLEAD Conference 2020. If there's one word I leave with you the word wisdom. You need to know how to do things. Not just why to do them or what to do, but how to do them. Because when you know how, you become irreplaceable. Nobody can replace a man who knows how things are done. Nobody. Because wisdom is in the how. And I want to read a text from the ancient king, King Solomon, one of the wisest men who ever lived upon the face of the earth. In his wise sayings, King Solomon, in Proverbs chapter number 24, verse 3 to 4, wonderful King Solomon says, through skillful and godly wisdom, a house, a life, a home, a family, a job, a career, a profession, whatever it is, it says, through skillful wisdom, it is built. You build by wisdom. You build your career, your work, your profession, whatever it is, you build by wisdom. It says, and by understanding, it is established. Wisdom builds, understanding establishes. On sound and good foundation, and by knowledge, its rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So, that's what I'm talking about. Wisdom builds. If we need to build nations, it is not just by people who have professors or doctorate degrees or no, that's knowledge. If we need to build nations, if we need to build the young people as men, if we need to build societies or build our families or build our professions, it will be built by wisdom. Not just by knowledge. And let me say this, the world is not short of knowledge. There is even too much knowledge out there. We live in an information, I don't know how to qualify it. With quantum, the level of information on the earth today, I think we even have information overload. There's so much information out there. We know a lot of things, but there is so little wisdom out there. If the men in this conference watching all over the world can focus on wisdom, how to solve problems, that's wisdom. How to get things done, that's wisdom. You don't run nations because you know what to do. You run nations because you know how to do things. Poor countries are countries that don't know how to do things. Rich countries are countries that know how to do things. And I want to let you know this, and it's a very simple thing. You will be surprised that the countries, some countries with the worst economies, have some of the brightest professors of economics. So it's not just the knowledge. I want men in this generation, you and I, this is a men lead conference, which means men leading. We will lead by wisdom, professionally, in our work, in our jobs, whatever it is. We must discover the wisdom we need to lead and to build in that domain. It says by knowledge, things are established. Or by understanding, things are established. And by knowledge, you fill the house with precious things. Now, if what you want to do is just to amass things into your life, then get the knowledge. If what you need is to establish things in life, get understanding. But if what you need is to build, get wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, and I keep saying ladies and gentlemen because there are men and women all over the world watching, I want to let us know that the man and his work, to start with, I said before, the man is in short supply. There are many males, but few men. There are many boys, but few men. We need men. It is men lead. It is men who lead, not boys. The man and his work. And that work must be differentiated from his job. In other words, discover your work. Yes, your work may be in the line of your job. I understand that. But discover that work. What is that work? That unique thing you were created to do. That unique thing you were created to be. That unique problem you were created to solve. And you can, in some cases, that your work may be in the medical field. Your work may be in spiritual matters. Your work may be in the financial domain. Your work may be in anything. In fact, you may be teaching biology, but your work is for business. So you teach in the morning, in the evening, go run your business. That's your work. But the purpose of this conference is to let you know, whether it's your job or your work, you need wisdom. And it is my heartfelt desire that all the men listening to me will begin to seek wisdom, how to get things done. Not just what has to be done, not just why it has to be done, but how it has to be done. Let me say this. We all live in a financial world. And as men are designed by nature to go get financial needs, to meet needs financially, okay? But what I'm saying applies again in the financial domain. You may know what money is, that's fine. You may know why you need to make money or why you need to get things done financially. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do you get it? Again, wisdom. The man and his work. For the man to be successful in his work, and let me close by saying this, the man must discover the wisdom he needs to succeed in that work. Once he discovers that wisdom, he becomes irreplaceable. And once you become irreplaceable, you become a role model. You become that person that other people can look up to. You become the anchor person. You become that person that we can all celebrate as someone who is successful. And again, like I said, true success is not determined by the living you make. It is determined by the life you make. MenLEAD Conference 2020, let us go out there and begin to make a life. And as we make a life, we will touch other lives. And as we touch other lives, we will touch families. As we touch families, we will touch communities. And as we touch communities, we will touch nations. And as we touch nations, we will touch the world and build a safer environment for the world. Men are in short supply. Be a man. Men are an endangered species. Be a man. And as we become men, society will rejoice. And everyone will know that God has raised a generation of men to be a blessing to mankind. Thank you so much for watching. The breakout sessions are following after this. And I pray that wherever you are, take these words, apply them, and together, I will meet you at the top. That's where you belong. Have a wonderful time. Thank you for watching. Thank you again, Dr. Ngafeson. Thank you again, Claudia. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.